They weren't supposed to be here. But once I saw them, once he looked up, I knew something was going to change. And I wasn't sure I wanted to stop it. I didn't expect company. This was supposed to be a quiet night, just me and maybe one connection I didn't have to explain. But as soon as I felt how close he was and heard that second voice from the hallway, I realized this night wasn't just mine anymore. And maybe I didn't want it to be. Before we dive in, take a second to like this video and hit subscribe. It's super quick and helps the channel grow more than you know. Plus, you won't miss the next story. Now, let's begin. I came here for quiet. That's what I told myself anyway. It was meant to be an off-site retreat. Just a few nights by the cliffs, tucked away in one of the top-floor suites of an aging seaside inn. No schedules, no demands, just wind, waves, and enough space to forget everything I'd left behind. But then I saw them. 3 of them stretched out along the terrace like they owned it. Jackets tossed aside, drinks in hand, voices low and unhurried. I hadn't expected anyone else to be here. Definitely not a group like that. Something shifted the moment our paths crossed. Not fear, not nerves, curiosity. I wasn't here to reflect. Not really. I wasn't here to recover. I was here because I needed to feel something that wasn't numb. I stepped out onto my private balcony. The breeze caught the edge of my wrap slightly, and I adjusted it casually. One of them looked up mid-sentence. He didn't smile. He just stared, direct and measured, like he already knew something about me. The others followed, slower, less obvious, but their eyes held. None of them looked away. Their attention lingered. That was enough. I leaned into the railing, letting my hair fall to one side as the ocean air lifted the hem of my dress. I shifted slightly, letting the wind move around me. No words, no gesture, just presence. And then, as I turned to go back inside, I paused half in shadow, half in view, glancing over my shoulder to meet the eyes of the first one who looked. Not a smile, not an invitation, just a look that said, "I saw you. Your move." I had barely stepped back inside when I heard the side door click shut. Soft, intentional, certain. Footsteps followed, quiet against the old hardwood, but steady. I didn't need to turn around. I already knew who it was. The air shifted again, heavier somehow. His presence filled the space like it had always belonged there, even before he walked in. "You always put on a show like that?" he asked. His voice was low and composed, curious, not teasing. There was no edge to it, just a calm question, like he was still figuring me out. I reached for the glass I'd left on the table, letting the wine swirl gently before I took a measured sip. Depends on the moment. Behind me, the quiet deepened, not empty, but aware. I set the glass down and turned just enough to see him. He stood by the door, hands in his pockets, posture relaxed, still watching. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. I crossed the room slowly, each step deliberate. The space between us carried more weight than words ever could. He didn't move, didn't flinch. His gaze stayed on mine, steady and unreadable. The faintest curve touched his mouth. Not quite a smile, more like acknowledgement. When I stopped close, but not quite within reach, I let the moment linger. And then he moved. One step. No rush, no force. Just enough to meet the space I had left open. And I let him. There wasn't a pause, no uncertainty, just a quiet understanding that we had already crossed into something neither of us felt the need to resist. When I stepped toward him, he didn't shift away. His attention stayed with me, steady, present, offering nothing but calm acknowledgement. We moved in silence, unhurried, until the bed behind him marked a natural place to stop. He sat without a word, hands braced lightly beside him, his eyes never leaving mine. Not expectant, just aware. "Didn't think you'd be the one to take the lead," he said, voice low, the faint trace of a smile resting just at the corner of his mouth. I mirrored it slower. I don't usually wait around. I stayed in front of him, letting the moment stretch on its own. Then, without fanfare, I reached forward, my fingers brushing across his shoulders in a motion more grounding than guiding. I traced the line of his sleeves. Light pressure, no urgency, just enough to set a tone. He didn't move. His posture stayed open. Still. His breath was steady, but I caught the slight way his shoulders eased into the contact, as if to say, go on. Every small shift he made told me something. A slight exhale. A blink held a second longer. Not signals, just responses. And I read them as they came. I took my time, letting the quiet carry its own weight. The room felt centered, not tense. Like nothing outside of this mattered yet. Like the next moment hadn't been decided. And that was exactly the point. Then slowly, he lifted one hand, not to direct or take control, but to mirror me. His palm hovered near mine. Open. Still. I let mine meet it lightly. Equal. I leaned in slightly, not enough to close the space. Just enough to let him see I was still choosing this. Step by step. Not pushing. Not rushing. Just following a rhythm neither of us had to speak aloud. He looked up at me, calm and engaged, his voice lower when he finally said, "You're not making this simple, are you?" I smiled again, softer now. Why would I? The air felt thicker, but not heavy. It was concentration. Shared tempo. Mutual pause. I shifted just enough for the line between us to blur. Small. Subtle. Intentional. His fingers brushed the edge of the cushion beneath him. Still not moving. Still waiting. And then from behind me, a voice broke the stillness. Measured. Familiar. Closer than expected. Didn't plan on starting without a proper hello, did you? I didn't turn around right away. The second voice was low, calm, and unmistakably familiar. Then came another sound. Movement. More than one body shifting. A chair sliding. Footsteps. Quiet, but deliberate, drawing nearer. They were coming in. All of them. I stayed still, letting it unfold. Letting the moment shape itself around me. One step to my side. Another moved behind me. Their presence wasn't loud, but it was intentional. No one reached out. Not yet, but I could feel it. Their focus. Their restraint. The way they let the silence carry weight instead of rushing to fill it. I turned slightly, meeting the gaze of the first. It was steady, grounded. He wasn't waiting for a signal. He was reading me. Behind him, another stood quietly, hands tucked into his jacket, his eyes holding mine as if nothing else existed. The room held still, not stiff, just suspended. One of them reached out. Not a take, not a guide. Just a slow motion. His hand hovering beneath my chin for a breath, then retreating. A gesture. A check-in. I didn't step back. I didn't speak. I moved. And that was enough.